What's good, everybody? I am Winston Marshall, aka the Swaggy Blerd, and this is the Blerd Breakdown. I've been testing out a whole bunch of different, names and whatnot for kind of a daily show to just kind of go through some news and stuff. I'm still doing my comedy news stuff with Breakfast AM News. That's just been on a little bit of a hiatus so I can get this other content, pump it off. But this is going to be a show where I'll cover anything kind of going on in comic book, TV, movie news, pop culture, the internet, all that. I'll have a slightly different show, or it might just be the same version of or it'll be also the Blerd Breakdown, but it'll be just a reaction to internet videos and stuff like that I'm going to be doing soon. But for the time being, man, if you haven't already, please be sure to hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit the notification bell and everything else so that you know anytime I put some new content out. Now, I know I'm a little behind on my reviews. I do apologize. Again, as I was mentioning earlier, I have been having a lot of stuff go on personally right now. So I just needed to take the time to focus on a lot of that, but I still want to make sure I get you content. And again, I mentioned that subscribe because as of recording this, I'm only about 3 subscribers away from 3,000, which is awesome. Our next goal after that will be 5,000. We're going to keep it pushing. On top of that, we are getting closer and closer to monetization. So please be sure to share this out with folks if you found this entertaining, informational, all that good stuff, man. But with that, let's go ahead and jump into it. Let's talk about some of the key stories that are going on today. And I'm actually going to start with comic book movie news. So, for those that are unaware, Deadpool and Wolverine is about to drop, and a news report from Comic Book Movie says that Deadpool and Wolverine director Sean Levy says he'd like to helm a Deadpool and Spider-Man movie. The Merc with the Mouth will join forces with Logan and Sean Levy's Deadpool and Wolverine, but the filmmaker has his eye on a possible team-up with Spider-Man down the line. Now, written by Mark Cassidy, the article reads, Wade Wilson has teamed up with quite a few different characters in the comics over the years, and almost every single one of them has regretted it to some extent. Marvel Studios' upcoming Deadpool and Wolverine director Sean Levy wisely chose to tap into the odd couple energy that comes with the Merc with the Mouth and Logan joining forces, and there is another Marvel superhero the filmmaker would love to see Wade encounter on the big screen at some point. The thing about Deadpool is, I think he makes everything more interesting because of his audacity, Levy tells Games Radar, but boy, I sure love to see Deadpool and Spidey. That's a movie I'd love to make. I feel like Tom Holland would run circles around everyone else. If Deadpool and Wolverine is a success and box office tracking is looking pretty good, Levy might as well get the opportunity to make a Deadpool and Spider-Man movie, although Disney may be a little less willing to throw Holland's take on Peter Parker into an R-rated adventure. Producer Wendy Jacobson was asked who she'd most like to see Deadpool team up with, and somewhat randomly chose She-Hulk attorney-at-law villain Tatiana, played by Jamila Jamil. She is such a heightened, hilarious character and also an actor who can improv and is razor sharp and can banter, she explained. Sorry, I've been watching a lot of Perfect Match with a lot of Brits. I can't imagine being an actor, period, but I can't imagine having to work opposite someone like Ryan Reynolds, who's just so quick and so smart and so funny all the time, but that woman could handle it. Would you be interested in seeing a Deadpool and Spider-Man movie? Okay, so hearing all of that, man, honestly, that is probably one of my favorite team-ups that you see in Marvel Comics is Deadpool and Spider-Man. There's this weird energy where Deadpool is always trying to, pseudo get with Spidey, and Spidey can banter and make jokes back and forth with them, but he always kind of pushes him off because obviously he loves Mary Jane and all that, and Spider-Man doesn't necessarily roll that way, but it doesn't mean that it's not hilarious, and it doesn't mean you don't get a lot of chaos. And I completely agree. I think that Tom Holland is one of those people that it could absolutely hold his own, and it would give a very different take of Hugh Jackman's Logan being such a hard ass and kind of getting this innocent kid who also kind of tells jokes. But I 100% agree. I don't know if Disney is going to fly with that, or Sony. I don't think either one of them are going to be super happy about Tom Holland, being in an R mashup with Deadpool, since Spidey is such a kid-friendly or a kid-forward character. But I honestly, again, in the comics, seeing the two of them interact has always been super hilarious to me. I know people feel some way about She-Hulk, but I also agree that Jamila Jamil's Tatiana is absolutely hysterical. I think that they did a really good job with that. I think between that and what is her name? Madison with 2 Y's but in an R, but not where you think it is, whatever that shit. I thought that she was also hilarious, but I don't think that would work with Deadpool unless Deadpool was just really annoyed by her. I feel like that could be pretty funny. But I would be here for it. I want to know what you think. Do you want to see a Spider-Man Deadpool mashup? If Deadpool and Wolverine is a success, let me know down in the comments. So on to our next story. This one actually pertains to the Russo brothers reportedly producing Captain America Brave New World. Much has been said about Captain America Brave New World's supposed production issues, but the good news is that Joe and Anthony Russo have seemingly boarded the project as producers. Josh Wilding writes, when Marvel Studios enlisted the Russo brothers for Captain America Captain America the Winter Soldier, many fans understandably questioned whether the filmmakers behind Yumi and Dupree were the right team for the job. Well, in 2014, the movie remains, the 2014 movie remains one of the Marvel Studios' best, and Joe and Anthony deliver yet again with Captain America Civil War, Avengers Infinity War, and Avengers Endgame. They've since moved on from the MCU to focus on AGBO, a production label they can release their own movies through, with the biggest hit so far being Netflix's Extraction franchise starring Thor actor Chris Hemsworth. And while the Russo brothers' time in the MCU appears to be over, Captain America Brave New World editor Matthew Schmidt recently updated his film credits, and Joe and Anthony's names are included. In a list of producers, we have Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier's Nate Moore, and the Russos. Now, this may be a contractual obligation or an indication that Marvel Studios has turned to Joe and Anthony for help, making sure Brave New World lives up to its lofty expectations fans have for the franchise. Talking about his first movie as Captain America, Anthony Mackie teased, "This movie is a clear reset. It really reestablishes the idea of what this universe is and what this universe is going to be. I think with these movies, you're getting a clear, new branding of what Marvel is headed towards the same way they did with Captain America the Winter Soldier. The title implies that there's a new, bigger enemy now. There's a new frontier that we have to conquer," Mackie added. "From Captain America the First Avenger to Endgame, the enemy was always good versus bad. Now that we've conquered that, where do we go from here? When the bad guys reappear, in what form are they reappearing? It's a new storyline with new characters, with new beliefs, and it creates a new idea of this new world that we're going into." My God, that man said new a shit ton. Captain America Brave New World's cast includes Anthony Mackie, Harrison Ford, Danny Ramirez, Carl Lumley, shout out to my homie Carl, Tim Blake Nelson, Shira Haas, Liv Tyler, Zosha Rockmore, Juan Carlo Esposito, and WWE superstar Seth Rollins. Okay, so hearing all of that, man, that actually gives me a lot of hope, and that actually makes me very happy. I know people have been very concerned with the sheer number of reshoots for Captain America Brave New World, and for a multitude of different reasons. I know we were concerned about the strike and what that did to production. I know there have been some stuff that's been going on in the real world that may have affected some of the storyline that's going on. I know that some of the test screenings have been reported to have not been that great. So what I appreciate about this, and I appreciate it about Blade 2, I mentioned on Capes and Cows, and I'm like, geez, man, this has been reset and redone and pushed so many times. I'm like, is the movie cursed at this point? Does this movie have its legs? On top of that, Mahershala's getting older. But in terms of this, more specifically, I think I get really excited about it just from the standpoint of Marvel is clearly making sure all of their ducks are in a row. They have gotten hit and slammed and laughed at and embarrassed and said the MCU's done, the MCU's cooked over and over and over. And Disney has been taking hits from, the MCU to Star Wars. The live action adaptations haven't necessarily done as well as they would like. And so they're really trying to get back to form as far as making sure putting out the best possible quality that you could. So I'm actually very much here for it. And if the Russos are on board, I don't think anybody understands the world of Captain America and those morals that kind of go with it, as well as the action, better than anybody. So without directly jumping in as directors again, lending their creativity and their expertise as producers, I think is absolutely awesome. But what do you think, man? Are you excited to know that the Russos are getting involved in the new Captain America? Did you just want a complete new shift on this particular character in this franchise into something else, or do you think it's a good idea? Let me know down in the comments, y'all. All right, moving on. Let's talk about the superhero show that has taken over everything, man. The Boys. There's been a lot of talk with The Boys about, people kind of rebelling against it. and people feeling like they're over it. And you know, the funny part about that to me is a lot of that is because people didn't realize that maybe the show was already making fun of you the entire time and kind of missing that until right now. That's a whole other fucking conversation for another show. But again, The Boys is back. They did their 3-episode premiere last week. I do owe you 2 more reviews. They are coming in just a day or so. The showrunner says that Claudia Dumit's reaction to a not safe for work moment from episode 1 of season 4 was authentic. Now, before I dive into this, let me warn you, there is a baby bit of a spoiler, so I'm going to put chapters for this video. If you don't want to hear anything about this, then just skip this part and jump to the next little bit, but it's not a major spoiler. It's just kind of a funny little moment here. So here we go. We've encountered our share of assholes over the course of 3 seasons of The Boys, but the recent season 4 premiere took things to a literal new level. Initially hoping to strike a deal with VP-elect Victoria Newman, Claudia Dumit's character, to get Ryan, Cameron Corvetti's character, away from Homelander, Anthony Starr's character, in exchange for footage of her popping heads, Billy Butcher, Carl Urban's character, ultimately changes his mind and lets Miss Newman known in typical Butcher fashion by sending her a photo of his booty hole. Responding to a fan on Twitter, showrunner Eric Kirpick revealed that Dumit's reaction to the photo was the real deal. This is Claudia's real reaction at seeing the picture for the first time. All authentic. Because hundreds of you asked, the booty hole from The Boys season 4 episode 1 is not Butcher's or Carl Urban's. He added in a follow-up post. We hired a model. I don't know his name. I chose the pic based off of about 20 different booty hole shots. Yep, Hollywood is a glamorous dream factory. So all I know is, man, when I saw that moment, I was like, oh, they're really just going for it. And for a second, I was like, why are you acting surprised, bro? Like, you haven't watched this series now 2 or 3 times and know that they don't hold back on absolutely anything. But it really did fit very straight up into Butcher's character. When he decides something, he doesn't just say, like, you know what, never mind, or you know what, I'm going to go a different way. He tells you to fuck off and then, you know, does something completely grotesque. And this is right in the vein of some of the stuff we have already seen in this season and how intense things will get. You know, I thought it was genuinely funny, and I genuinely appreciate when, you know, filmmakers, when directors and showrunners and all that will do stuff like that and keep actors on their toes. Nothing that I think would be like particularly scarring or anything that would be overly scary or anything like that, because, you know, that would just piss me off personally. And I've had that happen on set before, and that's when you're getting into different conversations. But knowing in terms of, like, I'm sure what she was told was Butcher is good. In the script, it says Butcher sends a response that, you know, makes Victoria ill, or in a very Butcher fashion or something like that, but she just didn't know the specifics. And on top of that, I guarantee when this was all said and done, and, you know, this isn't necessarily an intimacy coordinator situation, but you've had them on set for the show for obvious reasons. I'm sure that there was a conversation, you know, immediately before or after about, like, hey, if something comes up, we want to make sure we have consent from you to go forward with it and all that. And it led to a genuine, like, funny moment by her just kind of getting that. I will say, I've heard plenty of lady friends in Lifetime talking about getting random dick pics. If that's kind of what that was like, then damn. I'm sorry that that's some bullshit y'all got to deal with, because fuck that, man. It was funny, but, like, I would be really, really upset if that was just randomly sent to me. But I want to know what you think, man. Did you find that moment hilarious? Or was it not really your taste or anything like that? Let me know. Now, keeping up with The Boys here, there was another story that came out from the showrunner. He was told that there was one thing in particular he was asked to tone down for season 4. Now, Mark Cassidy writes that The Boys have pushed the boundaries of what sort of outrageous acts can be depicted on screen, and while there have been all manner of brutality and debauchery, of course, over the course of 3 seasons, the showrunner had previously said that he was basically given free reign to include anything he wanted, but there was one thing that gave Amazon pause, and it probably won't be what you're expecting. Of all the things witnessed in the past few years, it was the deep interspecies relationship with an octopus in season 3's Herogasm episode that prompted Prime Video execs to ask the showrunner to tone it down as it tested the streamer's policy on depictions of bestiality. Funny enough, the only thing they said to me all season was, and we weren't going to do it anyway, was can you just maybe not have the deep fucking an octopus in so many scenes that Kerpik tells the movie dweeb? Basically because bestiality is a really tricky line for standards, they said. We're not saying you can't do it. We're just saying, can it be a little more elegant in how you depict it? So no more Octopussy, but Kerpik does also reveal that fans have yet to see this season's craziest moments. It's a moment that I genuinely couldn't believe we did, he said. I think you might come out with a 1,000-year stare. You'll just have to see it. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I don't know where they're going with this. There's already been some ridiculous moments. I will say, if you have already watched the first 3 episodes, there is a moment in season 2 that takes the term masturbation to a whole new level. So there's that. But all that being said, man, what do you think about that? The fact that that Amazon told them to pull back a little bit. I get it. I know that there are definitely some lines that you know, FCC and everything else, they're like, you got to chill and whatnot. And I know that streamers kind of fall in what the old HBO category was of getting away with stuff. And obviously this was like a CGI thing, but you're still implying stuff. So I get where they're like, tone it down. But, you know, obviously if you've been watching these first 3 episodes, you know that the Deep's relationship is still there. It's just we're maybe not going to see any more intimate scenes with them, which I don't necessarily think is a bad thing. But what do you think, man? It was definitely hilarious to say the least. All right, to close out this inaugural episode of Blerd Breakdown, I got to talk about something that kind of pissed me off, and I'm taking it to the sports world. Again, part of that whole thing, like I mentioned, this is going to be everything from internet politics, whatever the fuck, man. It's giving you just a Blerd's breakdown on it. And it's incredibly frustrating, but I'm going to get to the kind of my funny side of this whole thing. Unfortunately, the Boston Celtics are the new reigning NBA champions. They won their 18th championship by defeating my Dallas Mavericks in a Game 5 victory, 106-88. Now, all that being said, man, Jason Tatum put his hands behind his head with the TD Garden fans cheering around him, and he just took it all in. Walking to the bench, he wrapped both arms around Celtics coach Joe Mazzulla. The journey was complete. The Boston Celtics again stand alone among NBA champions. Tatum had 31 points, 11 assists, and 8 rebounds as they toppled the Mavericks 106-88 on Monday night to win the franchise's 18th championship, breaking a tie with Los Angeles Lakers for the most in league history. On top of that, Boston earned its latest title on the 16th anniversary of hoisting the last Larry O'Brien trophy in 2008. It marks the 13th championship won this century by one of the city's big 4 professional sports franchises. It means the world, Tatum said on stage after the team received the trophy from Adam Silver. It's been a long time, and damn, I'm grateful. Now, Jaylen Brown also had 21 points and 8 rebounds and 6 assists, but he was actually voted the finals MVP, which was a big debate amongst a lot of folks as far as which of the two should get it and who was actually the better out of the two. Swinging over the Mavs, Luka finished 28 points, 12 rebounds for Dallas. Failed to extend the series after avoiding the sweep with a 38-point win in Game 4 back in Dallas. Kyrie Irving finished with just 15 points at 5 of 16 shooting, who has now lost 13 of the last 14 meetings against the Celtics since he left the Brooklyn Nets in 2019. Okay. So I was obviously very sad about this. I had, like I mentioned multiple times now, more important personal stuff going on, but I was able to kind of process this once we went down 0-3 and kind of push through it. I'm pissed off to see a Boston sports team win another goddamn championship. I know individuals that I love that are great Boston sports fans. Those that know Dwayne Burke from Schmodown stuff and that kind of sphere. You know, he's a Patriots fan and he's chill. Roxy Stryer, one of my good friends, she is a diehard Boston sports everything fan, and she's chill. Like, she is a sports fan, but she's chill about it. I can't fucking stand Boston sports fans outside of folks like them because they tend to be some of the most arrogant, some of the most trashy, some of the most like intense like assholes, including the fact that you hear so many stories of the racism that the players have thrown against them, including when they lost the title in 2021. Some of the stuff that, you know, Marcus Smart and Jaylen Brown and Tatum were saying, stuff that got slung at them. You can go and look up your histories about Bill Walton, man, or not Bill Walton, excuse me, Bill Russell, and him saying he was the player coach, won 11 goddamn titles for the C's, and the amount of abuse that he took and shit like that. So I have a lot of folks don't like it because it's just like, if you're Laker fans in LA, fuck the Celtics because, you know, that rivalry. And then other folks feel the same way about Boston sports fans, just about how aggressive and shitty they are, including a moment where like Kyrie went to try and save a ball. They were chanting Kyrie sucks the whole time. He dove to save a ball and looked like he might be hurt. It took him a while to get up and get back on the court. And you could hear them chanting Kyrie sucks when that happened. Like, that's the shit I'm talking about. And it's fucking bullshit. But I want to talk about what I thought the internet found pretty damn funny at this moment. As I mentioned before, this is what I believe the 16-year anniversary since the Celtics last won. And at that time, you actually had Kevin Garnett give one of the most memorable speeches, one of the most memeable speeches, but inspirational speeches that you've seen after someone that just won a title. Check this out.
League MVP, Defensive Player of the Year. Now it's time to add to your resume, NBA champion. How does that sound?
Man, I'm so hyped right now. Anything's possible. Anything's possible!
I remember when that happened back in the day, man. I remember being at home, being like, anything's possible, because like right after he goes, I want my mom. Like I can't imagine, man. You've literally hit the peak. That's your Oscar win. That's your, you know, you just got named CEO. You won the lottery. This is like that moment in life. Well, not the lottery because you didn't really work for that, but it's that moment in life that you've worked so hard for, and to finally get there, to get to the promised land, and to a place where not everybody is blessed enough to be, man. Like it's already hard enough to be one of the best players to even make it into college ball, let alone them be one of the best players to make it into the pros, let alone to be one of the best players in the pros to help lead your team to a title. That is so rare. That is so rare. And at that time, you had seen that Kevin Garnett had worked super hard to get to that point. Now, the same could be said about Jason Tatum, that, you know, this is what, his 6th or 7th season he just completed. And he got a lot of flack because he was doing crazy things on the court, but could never finish the job. And so it felt like now that he had finally gotten here, well, watch what he had to say when he was asked a similar question.
It's a surreal feeling. We did it. We did it!
Now, look, I'm not clouding him. He clearly seems elated about the situation, and he did have some pretty dope moments with his son that I thought were so endearing, man. But, like, seeing this moment, this literally felt like my guy was trying real hard to go viral and have that same moment. We did it. We did it. Like, he did like the same, trying to essentially repeat Kevin Garnett. And to me, not to get into an AI conversation, that's what some AI shit feels like. Okay, somebody from the Boston Celtics, after a long time fighting, they win a title. They got to scream something out into the air after they say it out loud, and break. Like, it felt very scripted. It felt like he very much was trying to force something in there. But look, congratulations to Tatum and Brown. I really appreciate all of those players, man. And congratulations to you. Congratulations to the Boston sports fans that I actually like Roxy, as I mentioned. I don't think Dwayne's a C's fan. I think he's just a Patriots fan. But to all you Boston sports fans, go fuck yourself. We'll be back, bitches. All right, y'all. So what did you think? Were you down with the winner of the title? A lot of people were saying this is the worst NBA Finals in history. Do you think Luka and Kyrie will be able to bounce back and make it back to the finals anytime soon? Do you think the C's have a chance to repeat? What do you think? Let me know. And that is going to wrap up my very first episode of Blerd Breakdown. Please, if you didn't already, man, please be sure to go ahead and subscribe to this channel, man. Hit the notification bell so you know when stuff's going out. Throw me a like if you can, and leave a comment. I really appreciate it on any of the topics I talked about. Get down there and let me know what you think. If you feel the same way, feel differently, all that good stuff. But with that, I'm going to get out of here. I have to go and do some more stuff, but I love each and every one of y'all. Please be sure to be here for the follow-up on some of these reviews, including I will make sure that as we get out the next episode of The Boys, I'm going to do an instant reaction. I'll make sure that I put up the reviews for the 2, 3, and 4 kind of consecutively with each other, as well as the X-Men and X-Men 2 United should be out by Thursday or Friday. So with that, y'all, I'm going to get out of here. Peace.